Are TSA detention pods coming to an airport near you?
Well, just to ensure that you are totally conditioned and ready to obey absolute authority, the TSA is now rolling out new detention pods. Another example of just how we are being treated like prisoners in our free country. Travelers are now being forced to bottleneck through these detention pods as they leave the airport terminal. A robotic voice gives instructions to wait inside the pod until a green light is shown and then the door opens. Once travelers exit the pods, they are unable to re-enter the terminal. Now, the justification for installing the pods is that they replace police or security guards who would normally stand at the exit, therefore saving money. But we know that that is a bunch of baloney because the TSA admits in its own words that there is no real threat. What this whole thing is all about is just absolute acclimation, brainwashing, conditioning, so that you'll be okay with groping hands of the TSA and total authoritarian control. There are no terrorists. We reported last month, engineer and blogger John Corbett, that he's had ongoing litigation over the constitutionality of the TSA security practices, and he exposed how the TSA admits that there is no evidence to support giving up our civil liberties. A section that was censored reads, of what evidence the government possesses to rationalize that we should be so afraid of non-metallic explosives being brought aboard flights? The answer, there is none. As of mid-2011, terrorist threat groups present in the homeland are not known to be actively plotting against civil aviation targets or airports. Instead, their focus is on fundraising, recruiting, and propagandizing. And in fact, he said it's been about 35 years since an actual situation where someone was trying to bring explosives into the airport has actually even occurred. So the threat is not real. So why are they imposing these security measures? Don't you feel like every day we're just being pushed and prodded a little bit more into compliance? Something's definitely up. And then we also reported in October about the TSA's expanded screening process and how before you even get to the airport, they're already accessing private and government databases to get information about you, like your car registration, your employment, and so much more. But now, just to remind you that you are a prisoner who has got to be subjected to these detention pods and you must obey and control. But what about the obvious thing here? We saw it during the LAX shooting. In order to avoid gunfire, hundreds of people were stampeding for the exit. So what's going to happen if something like that happens, or if there's a fire or some other threat and people need to stampede to the exit? That's going to cause an obvious bottleneck, obvious problems. But also, why do you have to be subjected to a detention pod to leave the terminal? Haven't you already gone through enough TSA checkpoints? By then, you're exiting the plane. But the TSA isn't the only agency that's tracking your every move, of course.